This has got to be one of the world's most luxurious anchorages.
This anchorage is home to one of the flattest night's sleep you'll ever get, a ladder to your own personal waterfall spa.
That is so good.
And up from that, you've got a massive, massive waterfall water feature into an even bigger pool. Quick croc check, I'll check it for you.
Be careful! The only catch is, once you're in, there's no getting out.
Where we're currently floating right now will be dry land in about 5 hours time. We get completely landlocked in a puddle of water here by the waterfall.
This place is definitely worth the little bit of a hustle it took to get into here. And the risk for our own private oasis hidden within the Australian outback. This has got to be the best spot in the Kimberley. We're leaving the Kimberley with a bang. And although our time here is coming to an end, we're met with as many wonderful firsts in our last days as we did in our first weeks. This is probably the coolest field wharf I've ever seen. Welcome to the final episode of our third series of circumnavigating Australia. Heck is that?
Raft it up!
Raft it up!
We've been saving 4 beers for this moment. There's 4 of us here. Skin to it, eh?
This is the Kimberley Dreamscape finale.
Afternoon. Nah, I'm just kidding, it's the morning. We are leaving Talbot Bay, probably more aptly known as the Horizontal Falls, this area. It's been a fun week.
Talbot Bay and the greater region, the Kimberley, is situated in Australia's far northwest. As you saw last week, it's here that you'll find the raging and vicious horizontal falls.
This is absolutely incredible.
Which is where a 12-metre tide is forced to squeeze through this 10-metre gap.
That's probably about as close as I want to take our little 2-metre tender.
Today involves a trip to a fuel barge. We haven't had an ice cream in a long time, you know. Before then heading to a hose that's been plumbed into a mountain.
What's here is called the structure.
Good morning all. Yeah, we're leaving the Horizontal Falls region and we are hooking out of here with the tide doing about 10 knots, which is pretty good.
11 knots.
11 knots. We have a little passage that we need to time today, and following the passage, a fuel wharf to go to. We're more excited about this fuel wharf than we'd normally be about a fuel wharf. We're about to see some people. Just remember to probably brush our teeth.
Spruce up the civilization.
It's been a while since we've had a fuel top up.
Made it. Most remote fuel bowser I've ever been to.
And traversing through the Kimberley has you relying more so on the power of your engine rather than your sails. This remote fuel wharf is located in a place called Crocodile Creek, a 25-mile trip from Horizontal Falls, where we set off from this morning. There's a bit of a navigational challenge on today's agenda. We've had to time our arrival at this passage known as the gutter with the slack tide.
Horizontal falls is one thing, but there's certainly no lack of tight squeezes up here. It's one thing we're realising. It's like there's a few famous tight squeezes and then, I don't know, on any given day you're always navigating something mental like this. But yeah, wouldn't like to be doing this if the tide wasn't even relatively slack. Even with a relatively slack tide, like there's still always some form of current.
By now, we've been well and truly exposed to the unruly Kimberley currents, and while we've had some close calls...
So it's literally driving us straight at the rock in front of us, and what was actually happening is we're shooting down this little passage here. We are literally just sailing sideways.
We've always made it out the other side.
Oh, okay, we were just going through a passage. We just got down to a patch that was 3.8 meters deep. That would have been well and truly dry if it wasn't high tide.
But it doesn't make it any easier to squeeze through these passages where the tide is forced to act at its worst. We've resisted the powerful pulls and pushes of the current to maintain our course. And as we pull away from the passage, we begin to feel the strain of the ocean ease in unison with our heart rate. And peculiarly, we're greeted with the sight of a humongous bulk carrier. But It's as we slowly inch closer that the island, missing a huge chunk of its landmass, sticks out like a sore thumb amongst the surrounding untouched wilderness.
This mine here, it's just like the island is a mine. They're just slowly eating the island itself away. Yeah, devouring it basically. I'm pretty sure the island's just made of iron. So we all use it, I guess. But it's wild. They're just literally slowly working in on a hillside and just eating up an island. It's crazy.
But the sight of this mine is connecting the dots in our brains, putting the pieces together, and linking the unusual noise we heard back in Dugong Bay to a source.
But it keeps happening.
That's really weird.
Really, really. I'm trying to think, is there any civilization sort of near us?
Maybe this is the end of the world.
Sounds like it.
This was absolutely baffling at the time, but it appears we were not as far from civilization as we thought. We're about to start pumping up some fenders because we have a fuel wharf to get to. There's actually a little fuel wharf here set up on a barge, a floating barge. Of course it's going to be a floating barge because that's what barges are. Anyway, yeah, Dogleg Creek, there's a fuel wharf, and we're going to go top up with some fuel. Probably not top up because it's about $4 a litre. So yeah, we'll probably, get a little bit, but not top up all of our stores, Anyway, we're just coming around the corner and almost about there. This is probably the coolest fuel wharf I've ever seen, with like the most spectacular scenery. This fuel dock primarily serves the mine sites that, as we saw, are just nearby. But it's possible for recreational vessels to grab a little bit of fuel too. We're only going to grab a couple of jerry's worth and top up our tank to make sure we've got enough fuel to get to Broome. We've also come to confirm some rumours about ice cream. Now the best thing is, he's got a little surprise for us. They actually have some ice creams you can purchase. So we thought, while we're here, we'll get an ice cream because, we haven't had an ice cream in a long time,
It's been a long time between ice creams. Pretty excited
we'll
about
that. We'll get an ice cream, Thank you, appreciate it. All done. Quick little stop in to get some fuel and of course ice cream. Not bad.
That was a smooth operation.
Smooth operation. And not to mention, the ice creams are free. If you ask nice enough, you might get them for free.
Classic vanilla.
How about that, eh?
Hey?
An ice cream in the Kimberley. A little taste of civilization.
That was a very civilised fuel stop, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, look at this. This looks so good. It's a good ice cream. Now that we've got fuel, ice creams, we're moving on to just the bay next door. I think there's something pretty cool we want to show you there.
Hey guys, we've just dropped anchor. One of the reasons we've chosen this little bay is there's a place called the Squatter's Arms, and we're really hoping we're able to get some water there. But I just wanted to stop by first and have a quick chat. Some of you may recall we took a little bit of a break over the Christmas New Year period. That's because while it may not look like it to you guys, what you see of us is an edited production of some of our best times. But between the lectures, the tutorials, the uni assignments...
How do you politely say that you're going to be marketing something towards...
trying to sail to the weather while making ground in a forwards direction, not to mention filming for YouTube and spending about 40 hours a week editing for YouTube, things can get a little bit stressful and overwhelming at times at Nakama HQ.
Yeah, and I was just pushing myself out there, that's the hardest part.
Yes, we are incredibly grateful for the things we get to experience and over the moon with the life we get to live. But a lot of work goes in behind the scenes in order to make this a reality for us.
How are you feeling about the day?
I don't know. Just keep swimming. What's that? Finding Nemo. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. In coming back and starting fresh this year, we are determined to better look out for ourselves and each other and better manage our stress levels and workload. We want to make this whole thing as sustainable as possible so we can continue to do all of the things we love without burning out. Over the last few years, we've been burning the candle at both ends and somewhere in the middle, keeping ourselves, the show, and the boat on the road. We decided it would be helpful for us to seek some external advice on how to best manage our workload and ensure we save time for ourselves and each other. We're determined to not let the stress of our schedule get in the way of the life we dream of. Therapy has given us the tools we need to better manage all of this when it's just us alone out there floating in the ocean, trying not to drown in uni assignments and everything else. And it's for that reason we are thrilled to introduce BetterHelp as the sponsor of this week's video. BetterHelp offers therapy sessions via video chat, phone call, or text, and users are then free to choose whatever communication method they find suits them best. For a lot of people starting therapy, these methods are a lot less confronting than traditional in-person sessions. Being an online platform, BetterHelp can fit into the busiest of schedules, including ours. With just the click of a button, you can choose what days and times are best for you, and you have no need for a commute. As long as you have an internet connection, you can access the service anywhere, anytime, which has been great for us as obviously we're always on the move and our weeks change with the weather and uni and everything. But with BetterHelp, we've never had an issue scheduling a session, and honestly, therapy wouldn't have been possible for us without BetterHelp. It's super easy to get started. You fill in a short questionnaire and then BetterHelp matches you with one of over 30,000 licensed therapists according to your preferences. This usually happens within less than 48 hours. And from there, you just schedule a therapy session at a time that suits you. No stress at all if you don't find you and your therapist are a great fit. You can switch therapists at any time without the need for an awkward breakup call, which is probably a favourite feature of a lot of users. Look, therapy's something that we've added to our week that we really enjoy. It's also a time where the other half gets to go have an hour or so to themselves.
I've anchored the tender, I've got my book, and I'm just chilling here. It's nice to give each other this little bit of space.
We couldn't be prouder to be partnered with BetterHelp, and we are so stoked to be able to offer you, our incredibly supportive audience, with 10% off your first month of this awesome service. Just either click the link in the description below or visit betterhelp.com/slimandsoph and the discount will be automatically applied for you. So if, like us, you want to squeeze the most out of 2024, then BetterHelp could be the best thing that you do for you this year. We'd be so stoked if this opportunity helped even one of you legends out. So if there's something in life that you feel like you might benefit from some help with, then please do check out the link in the description below. You'll be joining 4 million or so other people that have started living a healthier, happy life with BetterHelp. Anyway, a bit of vulnerability from us there, guys, but the reality is we're only human. Anyway, let's all pile in the tender and we'll see if there's any water at this joint. Righto, we are gonna go explore a pretty damn cool place, perhaps. And we're hoping we can get some fresh water while we're there. So, it's been, honestly, I blame Miles for, if anything, if the filming's not up to the normal scratch, it's Miles' fault.
We'll make sure it is though, won't we?
We'll make sure it is though, apparently. So, enjoy this top level filming. Coming right at you.
The reason why we enjoyed our ice cream so much could perhaps be because we're slightly hungover, but also we haven't had an ice cream in a long time, but it was mostly to do with the fact that
it's Miles' fault.
Miles pulled our strings last night. Yeah. Some of you may remember Miles.
What are snorkels for? Cardi guardians, when it's raining and when you go snorkeling.
And if you don't, that's alright, you'll get to know him soon. But a really quick backstory, we met Miles at our start line of our Australian circumnavigation in Coffs Harbour. Upon meeting Miles, we quickly realised we had the same crazy idea of going around Australia. So naturally, we've spent a fair bit of time sailing together, predominantly in our last season, Over the Top, as we sailed up the Great Barrier Reef over the top of Australia to Darwin. We left Darwin a bit before Miles, knowing full well he would eventually catch up, as we're pretty slow due to uni and whatnot. So finally, just before the end of the Kimberley, it was a pleasant surprise to hear him over the radio and dropping anchor at Nakama's stern.
Nakama, this is the morning song, switch to channel 69, over.
6-9.
I was actually just having binoculars out, just scoping you out, making sure that was actually you.
Yeah, I just finished my lecture and I was like, oh, if my timing's right, Miles should be rocking up any second. And I popped my head up and I could see you coming in. You'll never guess who's just rocked up. He's finally caught up to us. Some of you might have been wondering where Miles is. So have we, but he's just rocked up. He's just here. There he is.
So Miles is back, and so are his generously poured drinks and the slight throb in our brain. But it's a pleasure nonetheless, and a headache well called for.
Nakama's a bit battered and bruised, just like we are at the moment. Fun fact, I'm pretty sure on this trip I've discovered why pirates' hats would curl up like that at the front. Normally you don't spend, if you're wearing a hat, you don't spend your whole life trying to look up to see the sails and the telltales and stuff. So that's why I flip it like this now, because I'm like, then when you're sailing, you can still see what the wind's doing. And I was like, that must be why pirates' hats do that. Could be a coincidence, or I could have just cracked an ancient mystery. Or it could be like a full known fact, that's why pirates' hats do that. But anyway, I've found it a curious thought that's gone through the brain cavity. What are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments below. And subscribe while you're at it. So we're at a place called the Squatter's Arms. What's here is called the structure, and someone's draped an old hose over it, and it's meant to just flow from a water reservoir somewhere up the hill, or if it's a spring, so you should be able to get some nice fresh water here. Tetanus. Oh. That's how you get tetanus, eh?
The Squatter's Arms was once a haven and social gathering spot for yachties traversing through the Kimberley. It's a fully self-sufficient dwelling built with water directly plumbed in from a stream up the mountain, creating pressurised water throughout, including running into an infinity pool, which is a water tank that is constantly cleaned by a steady flow of fresh water. It's also fitted with a solar farm, providing power, and multiple garden areas and various barbecue settings, where you can imagine some good times have gone down. This was constructed about 30 years ago by boating couple Phil and Marion, who resided here and were well known for their hospitality. Unfortunately, Marion passed away, so subsequently Phil left the property. The dwelling is once again managed by the traditional owners, and permission is required to step foot ashore and on the premises. The facilities remain, and it's reported that they're now used for rangers when visiting the area. However, it is still permissible to access the fresh water that has been thoughtfully plumbed to the waterline by Phil and Marion for yachties to fill up their tanks with ease.
How good's that? How good's when you hear a story and it comes to be true? I've heard stories, there's an old water frame here, and I was like, the hose is missing, the hose was just underwater. I'm going to let it flow out for a bit, but this is meant to be really nice. It's certainly easy to access, the easiest access water we've had all trip. But yeah, it's meant to be really good quality water, flowing from a spring up the hill at this camp. Yeah, it's good.
So I feel like we're always filling up our water jerrys, but I mean, last time we filled up with water was in Dugong Bay, which you would have seen, but with the waterfalls. I love just like going and collecting water. It's just the best. So much fun.
What we've been doing is we've been like just topping them up here and there, but we getting it from the waterfall's not the easiest thing in the world. Like, well, it is pretty easy. You don't want to spend your whole day doing it. The other thing is normally we'd be on really, really strict water rations, whereas we've been a bit more liberal with our use up here because there's so many waterfalls, so you can just, it's been nice to not have to freak out so much about our water use. Anyway.
Throughout our whole time in the Kimberley, we have only once been truly worried about running out of water.
There's got to be some fresh water in here somewhere and we can get a little bit of something to drink, hopefully.
When where we thought we'd be able to find water was no longer accessible, we were forced to go on a wild sail in search of the liquid of life. Upon arrival at the next water location, we found only a stagnant and bug-infused puddle, and our nerves continued to rise.
Maybe we can't drink this though. It's a bit too slow. How good's this setup? Like, I love it when yachties do stuff for yachties. You know what I mean? Good bunch. Good bunch. The old yachty. Alright, we're gonna push this off. Ugh, it's just the little things, eh? I'm stoked. I love little, like, it's just like so much enjoyment in the little things, like just fetching water. I know Soph was saying at the waterfall the other day, she's like, this is so good.
Honestly, it's the simple things like just getting water.
That's how I'm feeling here. I think there's a little bit of like, you can't help but think of how many yachties love like we're getting towards the end of the Kimberleys here and you're like, you know, just top up your tanks or, I don't know, it's more than just getting water. You're part of a bigger picture and I like that sometimes. Alright, while Soph's been editing you guys another episode, I've gone for a little reconnaissance mission and I think I've found some oysters. So we're going to go check them out. I've grabbed Soph now. Everyone say thanks, Soph, for the episode in the comments below. And yeah, let's go get some oysters. We'll see what we can find. Food supplies are also well and truly dwindling at the moment, and given our lack of luck lately with the fishing.
I'm onto something.
Yeah, you're onto a
Tiny little...
Yeah, bring him up.
A little GT or something?
Oh, is it baby GT?
Little baby GT!
Soph has caught the two smallest GT.
Oh, what can I say? I'm pretty good at catching GT.
It wouldn't hurt to have something to top up the pantry with, do something a little bit different.
Something that doesn't have to be made out of flour would be nice.
Or beans. Or beans. Or legumes, like lentils or beans or flour. We haven't even been eating rice because we haven't even had any fish to go on it because they've all gone away for the weekend and it's been a long weekend. But yeah, hopefully the fish will be back from their long weekend soon. But until then, gonna go find some fish that can't run away from me. Or not some fish, but some food that can't run away from me because it's stuck to a rock.
Helpless oysters.
Yeah, gonna go. If I can't catch an oyster, yeah, let's go try and catch an oyster. I'm very prepared today.
2 hats.
2 hats just in case I lose one. Sometimes when you have a tendency to let your mind wander, you can end up being unprepared. Other times you can be exceptionally well prepared. Exceptionally well prepared I was today. That's cool, eh?
Wow. That's a good one.
Perfect.
It was easy.
That's the best one of the day.
Here's a big juicy one.
Just look. Far out, it's like the size of your hand. In the jar.
These are some of the biggest oysters we've ever come across.
Well, we've got a nice little dinner haul. Can't exactly call it a fishing trip, but our first successful forage in a while.
As some of you may know, we're not the biggest fans of raw oysters.
Don't.
I don't know why I thought I'd like it that time. But we're going to try and experiment with cooking them. And honestly, I think we just can't wait to have a little bit of protein with dinner. We've given up on catching fish and we've gone for the more helpless creature, the oyster. We harvested them off the rocks today and yeah, we're trying to make a oyster pasta. We don't really have much to put in it apart from butter and garlic and chili flakes. So see how that goes, eh?
And pasta.
And pasta, of course. The foundation to our pasta is pasta.
I couldn't get your hands in the small lens, but foundation to the pasta.
Foundation to the pasta is the pasta.
We got the shot.
Yep, we literally have no vegetables left. I think we've done pretty well though to be out here for so long without stumbling upon a veggie patch or supermarket. But it does have us counting down the days until we can sink our teeth into an apple or something else juicy and fresh. But for now, it's a buttery, chili, oyster and onion pasta. Is it right?
It's a vibe.
It's good?
We're a bit nervous, we're not going to lie. Oyster pasta was not something we've ever cooked before, so we're a little bit nervous, but I think it's a hit.
You reckon it's good?
It's heaps good.
I'm nervous because, as you may have seen, I'm worse at oysters than Simon is.
I actually don't mind them from fresh lemon.
Yeah, Simon doesn't mind them. I raw can't handle them.
Here we go.
I'm sure I've inserted clips here. Cooked oysters. They're so much better. I think it's the texture. They turn chewier and you can actually eat them properly, not just like gag on them.
Like a big snotty
Which is
booger.
like what I normally do and just like, ooh, you
like
know.
a big salty booger.
Yeah. Yeah, this is good, hey?
Heaps good.
Yeah, yeah, this is great.
We're on, we're up, and we are out of here. We're gonna go try our luck with something. I don't want to say yet in case it doesn't happen, so we're gonna go try and do something. Alright, anchors up, let's get into it. Thanks for watching.
Today is the day we are planning to attempt to get into an anchorage that we have dreamed of being nestled in since we set off on this circumnavigation. We have left with Miles aboard his vessel A Morning Song from the Spotter's Arms with all guns blazing and with an extraordinary plan.
So, we're in. You still don't know where we are yet. We don't really, we're gonna do a reconnaissance mission.
Well, sort of. Really, all it is anchoring out the front in this pretty dodgy spot well before the high water, which we need to get into the anchorage.
It's really tight in this little bay here, so Miles is pretty much anchored out at sea, but Soap's going to stay on Nakama. Me and Miles are going to go zip up this creek here, and it's low tide now, so we should be able to, we can only transit it on high tide in the motherships, but we should be able to see any obstructions now that it's low tide that might cause us drama later. So we're going to go scope this out to the best of our ability, and Soap's going to make sure neither of the boats float away. Miles said, can you radio him if the Morning Song starts floating away too?
Yeah.
Because Miles has got some crew, but no offense.
The reason why this takes so much planning is because our intended destination is over dry land to where a deep hole exists below a waterfall. But the beauty of the massive Kimberley tides is that on the high tide we will have enough water to cruise on in, where we plan on locking ourselves in for a few days at our new waterfall front accommodation.
Okay, so the big reveal, we're not in yet, but we're at Crocodile Creek, or we will be shortly. We're anchored at the river mouth at the moment. Me and Miles have just gone up the creek exploring on the very, very low tide, marking any rocks, just any little, there's reefs in there and everything like that. We tracked ourselves on the phone. I think we've got a pretty good path in. So me and Miles have put up some lines. You'll see why that's necessary soon, but we've preset some of our lines up in the rocks, in the cliffs up there. And yeah, pretty stunning waterfall. Soph hasn't seen it yet, so I'm pretty excited for her to see. But yeah, that's what we're doing, Crocodile Creek.
So exactly when the clock hit high water, we began making our way upstream with Miles following closely behind us.
Okay, moment of truth. We are motoring towards the entrance to this little landlocked hole. Miles is going to go in first, being the bigger boat with a bigger draft, so he'll get the top of the tide. And then once we get him situated, Nakama's just going to come and nestle on up. Exciting stuff. This is going to mean the world to Miles because he's a big fan of building rafts. Big fan. Righto, I'm going to go help Miles get set up and then we'll come back for Soph.
It looks like there's going to be a bit of maneuvering to get into this joint. I'm going to follow Miles' steps and reverse in. Hopefully she'll be right.
Alright, so Miles has made it over the bar, all well and good. I'm on a bit of an island here. It's just sticking in the channel on the outside there. I'm going to get this line. We prepared a line earlier for this purpose. Miles is going to drop his anchor, come back to me, I'll put the line on his stern, and if it goes that well, then we'll be laughing. Alright, so that part of the plan went like clockwork with the pre-prepared lines. Now it's our turn without pre-prepared lines or someone in the tender, but Miles will be handy on deck.
So it was our turn to now spin the boat around and start weaving through the rocks, making sure we keep to the deep side of the creek. Whoa! A little bit precarious operation we've got going on here. Can't say that I've ever sort of reversed us through rocks and mangroves with about 2 meters of water underneath us. Hopefully she'll be okay. As we slowly creep around the rocky corner, I get my first glimpse. Oh whoa, this looks incredible. It's a little nerve-wracking cruising so close to these rocks. I'm getting Slim to guide me in as he saw the approach at low tide and knows where's best to go. Wow, this is so cool! Look at that! Being so snug amongst the cliffs is an unusual spot to be aboard your sailing vessel. It's unbloody real and, not to mention, absolutely surreal.
Yeah, all good, got you.
How good's that?
Wrapped it up.
Wrapped it up! And just like that, our careful planning led to a perfect execution. This place is definitely worth the little bit of a hustle it took to get into here. And after so many years of begging, Miles finally got his raft up.
How beautiful is
This
this
is
spot?
so cool!
Crocodile Creek, ladies and gentlemen, I can't wait to show you this place. We're coming to the end of our time in the Kimberley, and we couldn't think of a better place to spend our last few nights and to catch up with Miles. For all of you who have been following along on this journey, we wanted to say a huge thanks for coming along with us into the wilderness every episode.
Wow!
Discovering hidden gems in the hardest to reach corners of this magical planet of ours.
What do you reckon, so?
And a very special thanks to all our patrons, sponsors and donors who have made this incredible series possible. Holy moly, what is ahead of us is insane. This place? But don't worry, it's not over just yet.
Anyway, we've been saving 4 beers for this moment. There's 4 of us here. Skin to it, eh? This is another one of those yachty things that we were speaking about. The people have like made this up over time. There used to be a little shack, rumour has it, way back. But now there's like this full concrete barbecue area. It's quite stunning.
People have also added the ladder for ease of getting up to the waterfall and steps here for ease of getting into the pool.
Stairs into the water. For those of you that know Miles along the way, single-handed sailing with us, he's currently not single-handed. He's here with his family friend, Andy.
This is Andy.
This is Andy.
Hi everyone.
Sorry, mate.
Andy is stoked to be here, we promise. Because who wouldn't be stoked to be here? Oh, scary big water. Although there's no sign of them, unfortunately the fear of crocs never quite lets you be. This has got to be the best spot in the Kimberley. Whoa! You've got prime real estate right there. How good is this? Look, should bring the bevies over here.
Should we?
Yeah.
Slim, bring the beers. Oh, I got a bit sunburned, eh?
Yeah.
Just a little bit. I look like I'm wearing a white jersey. Alright, so I always get the good birthday spots.
Oh, did we mention it's also Slim's birthday tomorrow?
It's the first time in this circumnavigation was at the islands, and all our mates ended up happening to be there as well.
Ready for a nice little pina colada for your birthday, brother?
Last year it was at the tip of Australia, Cape York.
Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday to you! It's not lighting.
And this year I reckon has topped the cake as far as probably my favourite anchorage ever. We've been here like 10 minutes and the best birthday anchorage. It's not often you can sit in a spa bath out the front of a waterfall, which is a swimming hole. There's another one above it apparently, and then you're looking down on your boat.
As a man of many rafts, I have to say rafts hold a very special place in my heart. And for the last 2.5 years, I've been nagging Slim and Soph, nagging every week. When we rafting, Slim, Soph, when we rafting? Well, I'll tell you this, it may be Slim's birthday, but I finally got my raft. Yeah.
Today's been a pretty froth-worthy day. This anchorage has probably got to be the best anchorage we've ever anchored at.
You said it. I'm glad you said it too. I'll second that. I'll actually say this has taken over as my #1 anchorage.
And as the night set in, it only felt more surreal being anchored so close to a waterfall. Our lights created an amazing reflection on the rocks, and we can only relate it to feeling like we were in a perfectly curated zoo enclosure. And Miles wasn't the only one stoked on the raft up. Chili's boundaries were also extended, and she took full advantage of the change of scenery. Chili!
Not sure. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. Falling asleep, we were like excited children at a sleepover, eagerly awaiting for the morning to get back into activities. Not a bad spot to wake up for your birthday.
Not a bad spot. I'm pretty excited that you can just go for a swim in the morning. Like, it's like having a shower in a house, kind of. That kind of leisurely.
Happy birthday!
Yeah.
Good morning. What a beautiful spot to wake up to. We were also eagerly awaiting the low tide to experience truly being landlocked in. So we're completely locked in here now. It's pretty dry. I reckon the anchors are probably
Out there in the deep section.
Deep section, yeah. The daytime low tide is not so severe at the moment. This whole area actually fully dries out. But you can now clearly see the bank and the deeper channel that we're trying to stick to during our approach. We've sort of only come up to the pools and the waterfall when it was either dusk or dawn, and now that the sun's out, it really brings out the beautiful water in here, and it just looks so inviting. This has got to be the best swimming hole that we've been to in the Kimberley. A few times we've said that as we've been like discovering better and better waterfalls. We found another oasis. Just one of many in the Kimberley, but truly I think we've just, at the very end of this Kimberley expedition, found truly the best waterhole in the Kimberley. This place is just spectacular. Honestly, couldn't ask for a better spot to spend Simon's birthday. It's just, yeah, it's a dream. Beautiful.
So there's a good chance there's not crocs in this top pool, like a good chance, because obviously spring tides come and flood this whole area here. We're just in neeps at the moment, so the whole thing's not even completely drying out, and you know, a croc wouldn't have been up here for a week or so, but they could just be hanging out in there. So we want to go and check out the top pools for a completely croc-free swim, but I don't know how you get there unless you swim across the croc water first, and I can't be bothered climbing that hill. So we might have to swim across the croc water to get to the croc-free water, if that makes sense.
So we can be pretty certain that there's definitely no crocs lurking in here, especially after Slim's official croc check.
Quick croc check, I'll check it for you.
Be careful! Not to mention, the water is so clear you'd be able to see one. But, as I said, the feeling of perhaps there could be one lurking in the depths never quite lets you be. So, we're checking out the top pool for a more relaxing swim. It's like another little oasis! No way! It is so beautiful. This is like a little billabong. The water is everything it seems. Fresh, glorious, and revitalizing. You want to swim and drink it all up at the same time. This place is insane. Oh. So the boys have hatched their master plan to encapsulate the feeling of this magnificent place in the form of a tantalizing bubbly beverage.
What do we got here, Mark?
We have Slim's birthday brew going on with the tears from Crocodile Creek.
Crocodile Tear Brew.
Crocodile Tear Brew.
Alright, so yeah, you did hear that right. Well, Nakama ran out of beers ages ago. Miles hasn't run out of beers yet, but what he does have on the boat is multiple methods of not running out of beers. So he's got a little brew kit. So this water, I reckon, is going to make the best beer you've ever had. Crocodile Brew, we're calling it. But not often you get the chance to make beer from a waterfall at your anchorage. So I'm pretty excited to get into this.
So I'm no beer brewing expert, but it seems all it takes to brew some beer is to get yourself a large bucket with a large spoon to match. Then grab your ingredients. They might look questionable, but you just gotta trust the process.
And that's it. I think that's all we do, really. No, there's another thing. You just put the stuff in the bucket, then come back in a couple of weeks, I think. A couple of days or a couple of weeks?
A week.
You shit yourself in the head this week. A week till bottling?
Yeah.
And don't forget the other thing, which is kind of like a thick syrup.
So I discovered that Miles had this kit on his boat, and I was like, what do you mean? We've got to get it out. It's my birthday, we're doing it, we're making beer under a waterfall. And I never thought that day would happen, but today that day's happened. We're making beer under a waterfall. Beer, glorious beer.
And then while your brewing buddy collects the water from the stream, and yep, make sure you have access to a waterfall, you might find your beer won't work without one. Anyway, stir everything in your beer cauldron really well, and then to ensure the best results, make sure your brewing buddy checks up on your work.
Done.
Done.
And just like that, we've turned water into wine.
Now we add some yeast.
Oh,
Brewing yeast.
not done yet.
And do not forget your yeast. It's vital for optimal beer brewing.
Alright, and just like that, the brew is done. We're gonna have to catch up to Miles in a couple of weeks' time to share it. Miles is off tomorrow, but we're gonna stick around for a couple more days. It's assessment time. Not a bad place to be marooned for exams and assessments. Great success!
Simon always has beautiful, or do you always have beautiful birthdays?
Yes.
You have birthdays in beautiful locations. Simon always has birthdays in beautiful locations. However, we are always running out of food for them. Like, I don't think there's ever been a birthday on a boat where I'm not like scrounging around wondering what on earth we can cook to make you a nice birthday meal and a cake and whatnot. So yeah, this year we've actually joined forces with Miles and we've come together and created pizza. We're gonna make pizza tonight, and I mean the toppings aren't like, you know, of great variety, but you know, we've got a few onions, we've got like jar things that we can put on, and we collected oysters the other day, so we have oysters that we're gonna put on it. Anyway, I'm sure they'll be good. They'll be good. We thought the pizzas weren't too shabby, but maybe Miles felt differently because before we knew it, he was gone. Which meant for our last few days in the Kimberley, we had Crocodile Creek to ourselves.
I think it's been really nice. We've been here a few days now and it's been epic. We've both had a lot of assessments and stuff due, but it's so good to just like have a pool.
That is so good.
It's been just really leisurely couple days in here, hey. You can wash up in normal water, not being on water restrictions, dead, like it's about as calm as an Anchorage as you can ever possibly imagine. Oh, there's my white stripe on my anchor chain.
So we found our anchor finally. The tide's dried out enough that we can actually see it.
It's funny to see the anchor. Yesterday, ours and Miles' were tangled, so yesterday me and Miles like untangled it from the tenders, but you still couldn't see the bottom, but today the tide's a little bit lower. It's cool being able to see the anchor, but it is on a bed of rocks. Not that we really need it at the moment. The waterfall's pushing us off. Yeah, I kind of, when I re-dropped it yesterday, dropped it on rocks, so it's just sort of chilling there. Crazy, eh? I reckon it's my all-time favourite Anchorage of all time so far. I love this place.
We couldn't have asked for a better ending to our time in the Kimberley. In preparation for our departure, we topped up our tanks one last time.
We are going to be well and truly topped up with water. This is great. I'm really going to miss this place, but I'm excited to see what's next.
And of course, we couldn't leave without one last dip. Alrighty, we gotta get out of here because the tide is currently almost high, and we need to use it to get out of here. So we gotta get out of here! We gotta get out of here! One last swim quickly, because we're probably not gonna be back here for ever or a long time. Oh, I'm gonna miss you, Croc Creek! Alright. We gotta go! This place is so epic. I wish we didn't have to leave, but there's more places waiting for us.
I mean, we could have another 10 minutes. Oh my god.
I know.
I don't ever want to leave.
If you enjoyed the episode, hit that like button and the subscribe button. And if you really, really like the episode, becoming a patron helps us create these videos. Honestly, the reason why you're watching this video right now is because of our patrons and sponsors. So thank you to those people, and yeah, we'll see you next week. This is me. I'm gonna be here the rest of my life. Crocodile Creek, you've been a treat. Did that kind of rhyme?
No, but good job anyway.
Hey guys, if you're still here and watching, thanks so much for sticking around. I know it was a bit of a longer one this week. We kind of wanted just to end the series with a bit of a bang. So as always, we really hope you enjoyed this episode and the whole series in general, because that was officially the last episode of the Kimberley, which kind of makes us a little sad, but also we're excited to bring you our new and next season. I also just wanted to say that in our next video, we really want to do a Kimberley series recap and also answer some of your questions you may have regarding the Kimberley or regarding us if you have any curiosities, because we have a fair few new subscribers since this Kimberley series started going live. So yeah, we'd love to answer some of your questions and curiosities. So if you have any of those questions or curiosities, then feel free to leave them in the comments below, or you could also reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram or Patreon. So get your questions in. We really hope you enjoyed this video and the Kimberley series. We couldn't be more stoked to bring it to you, and we'll see you next time with a bit of a recap video question and answer thing. All right, we'll see you then.